Good evening, and welcome along to a brand new series of Rob and Elliott tonight. It's great to be back with you, and what a lineup we have on the first episode. Music legend Beth Chapman is going to be with us and talking about legends from Downtown Radio. Big T is going to be here along with Malcolm McDowell telling us about this year's Northern Ireland Country Music Awards. Playwright Martin Lynch and actor Marty Maguire also join us in the studio as well. So we've got all that to look forward to on the show tonight. But starting us off on the brand new series, and I just have a feeling we might be in trouble already when I say the name of my first guest. We're all happy to see Maggie Muff back out with a brand new show, and pleased to say Caroline Curran and director Andrea Montgomery join us in the studio. Guys, welcome. Caroline, it was this time last year you got in so much trouble for your Judi Dench comments on the show.
I know. I can't believe I said that, but do you know what it is? Sticky Vicky and Judi Dench. Can anybody really tell the difference, to be fair? Apart from Judi, maybe.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Artists dedicated to their craft.
Exactly, yeah. If you want to watch the clip, it's on YouTube somewhere out there, so it is. But the good news is, Caroline, Maggie Muff is back again, isn't she?
Yes, I'm back, and it's 10 years since I first graced the stage of the Mac with 50 Shades of Red, White and Blue. Didn't really know what was going to happen, and overnight this character just exploded. 4 plays later, and I'm going out on that very same stage in the Mac for the very last time. Yeah, this is it.
This is the end of it?
This is
her.
The end, yeah.
Oh, wow.
We're all saying goodbye.
What's it like directing this madness then?
Well, for a Canadian, it's quite interesting, let me tell you. You know, when I was growing up, I grew up in Jakarta, and I always say, I knew that I would meet a mysterious foreign man and marry him and learn the strange ways of his people. I just didn't know it was going to be Northern Ireland. She's wonderful. She's such an amazing character. And for me, there's a kind of, I direct my own things as well, but Maggie has this kind of almost like 17th century Rabelaisian love of life, and she's bold, and she's kind of brave, and she's naughty, and she's really funny, and that's what I love. I love comedy. I kind of think, if I had to choose, I would always land. I'm a Shakespeare director as well. I always want to land on those comedies. I love comedy.
And when you first read the script, did you get it? Did you get all the lines?
Completely. Oh, yeah. And I sort of had that kind of, when in the cartoons when your glasses go like this, it was like, oh my Lord. And it just grabs you. That's the thing, is that she reaches out and grabs you. And I think, and she's bold, and I think the audience love her. So there's also a sense of, she's had her time.
Yes.
There's been this arc, and it's this last chance to enjoy it, connect with that mad and sort of, but heart of gold character, and so it's kind of bittersweet.
Yeah. What I love watching is the ladies when they come to see the show in the audience, because they're such die-hard fans, aren't they? They even come dressed like you sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few people that, I get contacted by a lot of people, men and women as well, but a lot of women have seen it like 5 times.
Yeah.
So they know the jokes, they know everything, but they just love the night out.
Yes.
They love coming with their friends, just taking in everything that she's
They dress
saying.
like her. They drink like her.
They drink like her. Yes. Sometimes I meet them. I meet Maggie after, which is amazing.
Yeah. And there was Maggie Knickers last time round as well, wasn't there?
Yes.
Always.
We have all sorts, Robin. Let's throw you in a pair.
Oh, please
a pair
do.
of Maggie Knickers.
Yeah.
Sure, it's 10 years. You may as well have a pair. But yes.
What can we expect from this show then? What's going to happen to it?
So Maggie, Yer Ma. So a few years have passed, and Big Billy Scriven, who was my partner throughout the whole sort of series, is in jail. And I am left with Prosecco, who is my baby and is now 7 years old. And Prosecco, so the main aspect of the game is that Prosecco wants her birthday party in Funky Monkeys.
Of
a
course,
bit like the
yes,
Ritz, same diff. And it's between her and Sally Ann to try and figure out ways of raising money to give Prosecco this wonderful birthday party that she wants.
Yeah.
On the flip side, we get to meet more in depth of Maggie's mother. We kind of touched on her in the very first story, and it's kind of a rolling thing throughout. It was 1 lines here, and number 2, 3, and now 4, we get to see more of her mother, her background, and how the relationship between her and her mother is. And there's a tough relationship, and people will then get to see, I think, how Maggie has become the person that she is.
Yes.
And why she's the way she is. And she is unapologetic
Yeah.
about it. She knows who she is. She loves who she's a very good friend. She wants to be a good mother. She is trying and she's trying to, there's all different characters. You know, her friends are back, Big Sally Ann, Sinead the Greener. And there is a talent contest in the shebeen, and there's £250 prize money and a year's supply of sausages from the butchers on the road. And they have to win this to get the money to pay for it. So it's all about the journey of how to get there. Stem off, Uncle Marty is there. He meets a new wife. It's all trying to figure out what's going to happen with them. And there's a big thing that happens at the end of the first half, if you haven't seen it. Yes, so I don't want to, no spoilers, but it completely blows Maggie, who everybody thought she was from the very beginning. It blows her into a million pieces.
The thing is about Maggie is that Lisa makes it look easy. You know, she writes this lovely structured play so that you go on the journey, and it's kind of like, I think of it as when I watch Caroline on stage, it's like I have a horse in the Grand National and I'm sitting there going, okay, you don't like the water, here we go, and you're over, yes, and on to the next bit. So I'm watching that all the time, but I know that journey, and Lisa balances it beautifully. And it looks effortless. When it works, it looks effortless. We think, oh, that's really easy to write. It's not. It's really carefully judged, and she's balancing, because the best comedy is kind of like that, you know, when they talked about Blitz comedy during the Second World War, the kind of Blitz spirit. And so out of poverty, difficulty, prison, you know, really challenging childhood, which we get little glimpses of, you get this insane comedy, and it's rooted in that. So I think that's why people like her so much. And what a joy to be right there in the room with people. I know Caroline will be right there on the stage. They'll be right there and in the audience to be doing live theater. And so I think it's just that chance to be there together again is really important, and it's kind of for women. Yeah, and of course it's for men too.
Well,
of course.
In terms of even last year, when I went back out with Maggie's Veg Run, the amount of men, because by the 10 years have passed, so it's 10 years. It's been 5 years since I've done this one in particular, Maggie, Yer Ma. So word has then got around, you know, it's not just for, yes, it is for women, and they come with their friends, and there's hen parties, and there's everything, that's grand, but you can come with your friends whose husbands and wives come together as a group, they have dinner, and you can just come and enjoy the story that I'm going to tell you, and just watch this girl go on this journey, and hopefully I can make you laugh, maybe cry, but mostly laugh. I have to get that out there because it's a comedy. And
skirting right on the edge. It's always right on the edge of, is this too bold to say?
Yes.
Can we get away with this? And so that's really fun too. That's what gives the feeling, that's why it has such energy. It's a crackle of energy of, I can't believe she said that. Oh, she said that. What is it she's going to say next?
And also fun. What's crazy is that because of 10 years has passed, people who were too young to see any of the shows the first time are now 18. So I have a niece who was 8 when I started doing this play, and now she's coming 19 in February, and she's coming to see it for the very first time. So it's like a brand new generation of people who are coming and go, what is this? You know, and it's a one-woman show. She's playing 11 different people. What is this? So for the very last day, we keep saying it. Maybe I'm sad about it. Well, I am definitely sad about it.
But it's interesting because we've all been together, the kind of the women who've been at the core of it. We've been together. And we've all kind of progressed together as in friendship as well, you know. So we know each other so much better than we did, and we think, you know, we've been through Lisa's cancer, you know, we've been through the birth of your daughter. I'm trying to think, had I got married yet? I think I was just married when, you know.
So it's a whole play in itself, isn't it?
You know, we kind of think of it. What is it? It's like, you know, theater company and dating service or something like that. I don't know, but we've been through some life. You know, life passages and changes with it, and so it's true backstage as well as on stage.
So since it's going to be the last time we're going to see Maggie, then what's next for you? We've talked about Shakespeare before. Is that still in the pipeline?
I know. I would love to do Shakespeare. This lady has always been saying to me for years, Richard III. Yeah. Who knows? Call me. I have no idea. We'll see what happens. You know what the way our industry works. You take the work when it comes, and obviously, you know, when the pandemic happened, I had 6 shows evaporate within 2 days of each other, and we didn't think we were going to get back out. Getting back out with Rough Girls was one of my first shows back, and even some people, you can still, even from Christmas, people are tentative because you are getting into a room with strangers, you don't know, it's still here. It hasn't, please believe me, it hasn't been forgot about, but people are now wanting to come out, to get
Yes.
out, to be a bit freer, to go, I actually want to go and see that show. I can wear my mask, wear your mask if you want to, whatever makes you feel better. And it's great to walk out and there's just people. Instead of, you know, sometimes we had to record and there's no one there. It was completely heartbroken. We had to come back literally from nothing.
Yes. Yeah.
And now there's all these different things happening. Your play's coming out, you know, things are happening all over the place. And it's really exciting, I think, for our industry to get back out there and be in a theatre with real people in front of you.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of hope for planning. So we're all starting, I think I can see this around the industry, not just between ourselves with Lisa, but also with other colleagues. We're starting to kind of brainstorm and think, oh, maybe we could write and in 18 months we might, or, you know, that I think that's kind of happening too. I go to a total contrast. I won't talk much about it because this is Maggie Muff, but I'm going into a play that I've written about Henry VIII as a teenager, and his friendship with a black trumpeter at his father's court. Wow. So it's like Tudor teenagers. That's my next project. I go from Belfast, but if it's that, you know, this is the end of an era.
Yes, exactly.
So, but we have to work together. After so many years.
Be rude not to.
It would be rude not to.
Exactly. So if they want to catch Maggie Muff for the final time, it's on at the Mac when?
25th of January to the 12th of February. So I remember that straight out. And you know what? I can't wait to get out and do this again because it's going to be amazing, emotional. It's been a privilege to play her, and to all the people who've come to this show for the past 10 years, I can't thank you enough. It did change my life.
Oh, Caroline, great to see you as
Lovely
always.
to see you too.
Andrea, good to see you for the first time, because it's
very
usually
much.
your husband who's sitting there
It is, I know.
telling me about his songs, or playing his songs, but great to see you here.
Thank you very much.
As well, thank you so
It's
much
lovely
for
to
coming
be
in.
here.
Right, we're talking country music next, in particular the Northern Ireland Country Music Awards. Before we do that, let's have some great music from Derek Ryan.
I rambled through the night, I could not see the light, felt I had lost the fight, to the depths of winter. You came with the summer breeze, like the final missing piece, to put my heart at ease. Pure and simple, you take me high, you sing me low, you carry me like a river flow. This is why I love you so. Pure and simple. What lies in store, your heart's an open door, I need not one for more. Pure and simple, if life brings a darker day, you show me a brighter way, I pray we'll always stay. Pure and simple, you take me high, you sing me low, you carry me like a river flow. This is why I love you so. Pure and simple, you make me smile, you dry my tears, you guide me through my deepest fears. I will love you all my years, pure and simple. A river flow, and this is why I love you so. Pure and simple, you make me smile, you dry my tears, you guide me through my deepest fears. I will love you all my years, pure and simple.
So there we go, new music from Derek Ryan, who's just one of many acts appearing at the Northern Ireland Country Music Awards, which are taking place very, very soon. To tell us more about the awards, two country music legends join me in the studio, Big T and Malcolm McDowell. Guys, welcome.
Thank you very much, Robin, for having us here.
Nice to be here.
Good to see you. Trevor, it's been a while since I've seen you. We were making a documentary about Downtown the last time.
Yeah, that was way before COVID even, you know.
Was it just? Yeah, but I'm going to do something really radio anarchy now before we talk about the Country Music Awards, because I know it's 50 years since you made your debut on pirate radio out in the North Sea. Tell us about those days.
Oh, would you believe the couple of photographs I put? They're the first things I think I put on Facebook, almost apart from a couple of photographs with Tammy or Dolly.
Yes, yeah.
But back in 1972, I had a camera which took colour slides, if you're old enough to remember them. You showed them with a projector. And they were great because you could use the wall or a screen. And would you believe 50 years later, I actually got them printed onto photographs. They've been in the house and I knew where they were. And I thought, I really must get those printed, you know. And I put them onto Facebook. They're good photographs of going out on the tender to the ship, Radio North Sea, the Mebo 2 as it was called. It was anchored 4 miles off Holland. Scheveningen was the name of the town. But it was 4 miles out in the North Sea, and the first time I went out, it was a force 8 gale.
Oh, wow. So you'd have to have a strong stomach for it.
Apparently, the ship had a flat bottom, which meant nothing to me. But if you tell a sailor about it, and they said it was anchored in the North Sea, and you went out to it. So, yeah, there are pieces of film you'll see on YouTube now and again. You can see the bows of the ship coming up out of the water, and then the stern comes up, you know. So it was a crazy place, but the radio studios in it were perfect. It was owned by 2 guys who owned a lot of sound system stuff.
But it would have been turntables in those days. Sure, the records would have been all over the place.
You had to go to tapes now and again.
Yeah.
There was a swingometer. There were 2 studios. There was the normal studio, and then there was the World Service studio, because it broadcast even in those days on AM, FM and shortwave. But in the World Service studio, there was a big swingometer on the wall, just like a big pendulum. Yeah. And there were graduations there, and this one just said, over. They did have to go to tape, surprisingly, well, not all that often.
Then, of course, we know what would happen. Downtown Radio would come along, and I mean, you're still doing the country stuff on Downtown Country today. And now you're involved in these Country Music Awards with Malcolm here, who again is somebody who's done a lot for country music in Northern Ireland, hasn't he?
Indeed he has. And Malcolm works tirelessly. Honestly, you know, the sort of things Malcolm does, I think you're born or cut out for it, because there's so much organisation, there has to be so much contact with so many people. And I would just, I mean, he juggles, you know, he could certainly get a job as one of those jugglers just to keep the plates going, because he really has so many things in the air. Yeah. And I'm sure he doesn't mind me saying, most people know that Malcolm hasn't the best of health. You know.
That's why I'm not interrupting. I'm just sitting back here. This is the best therapy I've had.
But he does, he pushes himself.
It's not about money, it's not about anything like that. It's for the love of country music is why you do these things.
It's always been for the love of country music with me. From I was a young child, 4 or 5 years old, my mother had a record player, and she had bought the contents of a jukebox of a restaurant that was closing down, and I used to listen to every record. And it's very strange, because the records I listened to of my mother's, them singers, you know, became massive legends, like Brian Cole and Ballymena. Them records were from 40 years ago.
Yeah.
But still, you know, they were the legends, and Ballymena, of course, still is, and the Queen.
But like me, listening to those records as a child as well, it must be great for you as well. You think, God, we know these people now. We're friends with these people in the industry.
And I never take that for granted. You know, when I was a child, I used to think of Susan McCann, Ballymena, all these names as people that you would never, get to talk to, or, if you even did see them at a concert, it might be hello or whatever, but not to actually become that they're your actually closest friends because of the love of, the mutual love of music.
And then you look at the lineup that you have for this year's Country Music Awards, and I mean, it really is the lineup of who's who in Irish country, Malcolm. I mean, it must be difficult for a start getting all those people together.
Well, the one main thing is to get a date that's going to be compatible with as many artists, which that logistics is probably the most difficult part of it. But saying that, you pick a quiet time of year when most artists are, not as busy as the have been at Christmas time and that. So there's usually more available. But I think the reason the awards are popular is because it's the public decide who win the awards.
Yeah, there's not a panel of judges somewhere sitting doing this. It's right down to the general public, the people who buy the records out there.
And the public vote, and nobody has a say in it. Nobody knows, not even myself. What I do now is, as soon as the voting company has closed, it sends the winners' names to the engravers, and it's put on the trophies, and they're sent then to the hotel, so I don't know.
Yes, yeah. And of course the awards are also a good platform for the up-and-coming artists.
That's one of the reasons for it too, to highlight some of the artists that are out there are so, fantastic, and a lot of people don't get to hear them on radio. They don't get they don't get the platform perhaps that they deserve.
Yeah. So for the up-and-coming stars, who should we be looking out for at the minute? I had Cara McGillian on the show recently, who's brilliant.
We Cara from Oma, yes, and a great backstory to herself and her family, and I'm delighted that she'll be there, and her mum will be there as well. But there's so many great names. There's a young guy called Gavin Gribben from outside Newry, and he was at the awards last year. He was actually at the first year and second year, but it's just showing the impression he's actually given to the country music industry, because he's out everywhere, and he's out there with the big names, with Michael English, all the big names he's with. So, but I've noticed from his first performance how well polished he is.
Yeah, he's come up with a great single, and it really is first class.
And he's very comfortable on the stage and very comfortable interacting. But there's a reason for that, is he's very personable. He's not trying to be anything other than what he is.
Yes, yeah.
And that's one of the things in country music is important too. It's meant to be raw. It's meant to be rough and ready. Yes, in my mind.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about. As George Hamilton IV used to always say, it's people music,
Yes, yeah.
It's not meant to be flashy and all that. It's the things it's about, really. Especially in Ireland, when you go right back to people leaving home and all the rest of it, and it's basic down-to-earth music.
Yeah.
Gutsy. And it's elaborated on, it's influenced by American country and so forth, but by and large it's different. It is its own genre,
Malcolm, when's the big night? 7th of February?
It's Tuesday the 7th of February, and one thing I have to highlight on the night too, because he definitely is a legend, that's Billy McFarland.
Oh yeah.
We'll be paying tribute to Billy on the night, because over 70 years singing.
Exactly, yeah. Wow.
That makes me feel very young. How about you, Trevor?
Well, Billy's the only guy I know older than me. Billy, everybody in the business has a good word of two people, Crawford Bell and Billy McFarland. They're so nice.
I want to mention the musical director though, because he does a huge job. His name's Mark Vaughan. But Mark does out all the charts for the musicians. They rehearse everything. They get it spot on, just like BBC RTE ready,
Brilliant. So. I'm looking forward to it. Trevor, good to see you as always. You're in Downtown Country every night at 7?
Yes, that's me, Sunday to Thursday, 7 to 10.
Brilliant stuff. Do you know what, Malcolm? We'll finish on one of your songs, shall we?
Well, that there's going to put people off going to the awards, but there we go.
Because you're releasing records all the time as well, aren't you, yourself?
But I don't really release them. I'm recording them because I want to do one album, and to be totally honest, I just want one album to say, okay, that boy has been on earth, and he's still torturing us with that stuff,
What are we going to go for? What are we going to play?
Misty Rolling Midlands, I was a big fan of the late Larry Cunningham, and that was a big hit of his.
Larry was an absolute gentleman. I got the chance to work with him a couple of times over the years.
And I was very lucky to have known him and his wife Beatrice as well. So we're very lucky in that respect that we did get to meet so many of those legends.
Exactly, yeah.
It's funny when you mention Larry. You know, when I was growing up and you were asking me about country music, I liked country music before I knew it was called country music because there were lots of songs in the chart then. They weren't pigeonholed so much. You know, you had in the 60s your Jim Reeves and Eddie Arnold, Make the World Go Away. All those sort of things were country songs that somehow escaped into the pop charts.
Yeah.
But back then they were just popular songs.
Yeah.
And in Ireland, Larry Cunningham would have been one of the guys I grew up to. In fact, the first night, Northern Ireland being such a small, big place, or a big, small place, first night I met Larry Cunningham was down in Brookborough, a show that a guy we used to have in downtown called the Ramblin' Man.
Yes, that's
He had been on. That was the first night I met Malcolm. And the stage was the flatbed of a truck.
Yeah.
And there were straw bales and things. It was marvellous. And I remember a man, Sean McGrath, who was a promoter, he and I were standing at the side of the stage, sort of half backstage, listening to Larry Cunningham hitting the low notes. And I remember the wee hair standing on the back of my neck because, as Malcolm has said earlier, I'd only ever heard Larry Cunningham on RTE before that, I hadn't ever seen him in the flesh.
And you can correct me, but I think he was the first Irish artist to break into the British charts with a tribute to Jim Reeves.
That's right, the Jim Reeves tribute, that's right.
Guys, we could do this all day long. But we've got Beth Nelson Chapman waiting to come on, so we have as well. So we'll get you back. We'll have a chat some other time. In the meantime, the best of luck with the awards. Trevor, good to see you as well. And here's our little tribute to the late, great Larry Cunningham. Fabulous song from Malcolm McDowell.
Oh, the misty rolling Midlands that I have left behind. The cabins and the people are ever on my mind. I see the plains of Longford and the Shannon and Athlone, and to those lovely Midlands I'm going home. Since I left my home in Granard, my father has passed on, and soon my aging mother will follow before long. But here I stand in Kilburn with no friend to call my own, and to those lovely Midlands I'm going home. Every day in every way the city gets me down, pockets filled with money and each face wears a frown. I leave behind this city with its troubles and its pain, and go back home to settle in the Midlands once again. Now back at home in Granard, my true love waits for me. I know that she'll be faithful, though I'm not there to see. So I'll leave behind this city with its troubles and its pain, and go back home to settle in the Midlands once again. Every day in every way this city gets me down, pockets filled with money and each face wears a frown. I'll leave behind this city with its troubles and its pain, and go back home to settle in the Midlands once again. Those misty rolling Midlands will be my home again. My home again.
Okay, we're talking theatre once again, and one of my favourite shows of all time is heading back out on tour. It's coming to the Grand Opera House as well. You might be lucky enough to get a few tickets, but there are only a few left. We're talking about History of the Troubles, according to my dad, and I'm pleased to say that Martin Lynch and Marty Maguire join us in the studio. Guys, welcome. Martin, I think it was 20 years ago, exactly nearly, since you were sitting there and we were doing this the first time around.
Yes, it makes me feel old. I didn't have a grey beard then, Robin, but yes, it is. It's 20 years ago and it's incredible. We first did it in the wee bank just down the street in Tullyglass Street, 114 seats.
Yes.
And we packed it out and added another week on and another week on, all the rest of it. There was standing ovations every night. And I didn't ask him, but Derek Nichol at the Grand Opera House came and saw it. And the following Tuesday after we entered, he asked me would I bring it into the Grand Opera House.
Yeah.
And I near fell off my chair. I said, it's only a wee small play being done in a wee. And then straight away, it's one of those plays just took off immediately. Stuffed the Grand Opera House, and we've been in the Grand Opera House 8 times.
Oh, it's amazing.
With that show,
That's amazing. And the great thing about it is, not only is the writing so good, but the characters are people who the ordinary people out there can identify with, aren't they?
Well, yes. I mean, I spent I spent a lot of years behind barricades in Turf Lodge and the New Lodge, and just observing people.
Yeah.
And of course, the place really probably emanates from my dad's view of the world. He had a very, very humorous view of the Troubles. You know, when people were hijacking stuff, like people, wee woman in our street came up a street with a side of beef over her shoulder, like a side of beef, you know, past our house. Jimmy, top of White Rock, sides of beef, you know. And my dad just, you know, he laughed his head off at that. And so comment, and there was other people who made the Troubles worse than what they were.
Yes.
You know, smashing up our own district. And my dad would be very caustic about them and sarcastic and so on, you know. So it also happened to coincide with the Good Friday Agreement. I watched pictures of prisoners coming out of jail, you know, the big black bags over their shoulders and all. And I thought, wow, the Troubles seem to be over.
Yes, yeah.
And I thought, right, I should write a play and try and capture all the humour that I know is inside the Troubles, that I experienced on the barricades, because it doesn't be used that very much. The Troubles are seen as a tragic, terrible thing, which of course they are as well. But there was also that great humour that I witnessed in barricades, and we tried to capture that in the play.
Now, what about the character of Fireball? Because if anybody's seen the show already, they will know this guy is just such an iconic character who you will remember forever, won't you?
He's legendary. I mean, I know a guy who wakens his wife up every morning. The guy lives in Glengormley. Lucy, get up, I'll have your coffee ready for you. You know, things like that. When Conor Grange was in Croatia 4 weeks ago, he got somebody shouted across the street at him, "Fireball, how's Halifax doing?" You know, things like that. So it has become a legendary character based on a real person who I came across in the barricades in Turf Lodge, a man who didn't see the Troubles. Now, he was either a genius and been able to avoid the Troubles in his head and in his belly, or he just didn't see them. And so that contradiction to what else was going on around the place when everybody was so concerned about protecting the district, saving lives and all that stuff. And he was talking about his dart team in Kelly's Bar. You know, people getting killed, barricades, buses lying on their side, and that's what this guy was talking about.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. Marty, we've got to bring you in because you've just joined the team.
Yes.
Your first time round, and a pretty big part. I mean, I remember it was Ivan Little was playing your part.
Yeah, the wonderful Ivan, yeah. So it's my turn this time. They've had 20 years, I've had 24 hours. And sitting beside Martin here and talking about Fireball, I've just come from rehearsals to be here for this interview, thank you. I've just come from 3 hours of trying to keep my face straight as the dad, listening to Scunthorpe and anybody know how Halifax went. And then Fireball goes back to work in the crematorium in the Royal while he tells me the birth of my new baby. It's this wonderful gallop through the 50 plus years of the Troubles in an hour and a half. So I've just come with Alan McKee and Connor and the new boy on the vlog. as I said, Ivan Little has graciously passed the baton on to me. I just hope he doesn't pass his costume on to me, because it'll be like Tom Hanks in Big if I'm wearing Ivan. So Martin, you have to give me a new outfit for this one. But it's brilliant already. It's been brilliant
So is there
already.
any pressure on you then?
It's only 2 weeks rehearsals, but I was gladly I got the script just a wee bit ahead of time. And I saw it one time in the Opera House, and I could not believe what I was seeing.
Yeah.
I watched 3 people create the history of the Troubles, because
Yeah.
I'd been away in America for quite a few years, and it was one of the first things I'd seen in the Opera House when I came back, and I could not believe what I was watching. The father stays the father the whole way through, but Alan and Connor create the city of Belfast, and from your wives to your own children to Fireball, who works everywhere.
Yes, yeah.
Everywhere you look, there's Fireball. He's everywhere. And Alan McKee's wonderful, as so many of the other characters as well. And I went, oh my, this is unbelievable. And I didn't realise it had been the 10 years. So when I read through it, I thought, maybe this is aged.
Yes.
And I go, well, if you're dealing with stuff that happened back then, it hasn't aged, because it was then. And I was laughing out loud, reading through it in my living room, going, oh, I cannot wait. And literally one morning on our feet, this morning, I've been in stitches all day. And then there's moments you come in and it just pulls the rug from underneath you, like, oh, it's like, poof, like a sledgehammer to the chest of some of the real dramatic moments that you can't avoid, but it's dealt with so beautifully and with such humour as well, which is crucial to Northern Irish people, how we got through the Troubles.
Martin is one of the great character actors now in Belfast. You know, he's not a wee teenager anymore playing Grease in for the old
40 years ago.
Yeah. So it's been brilliant to get him. Martin has a brilliant funny bone, as well as being a good dramatic actor, and that's what's needed for this part. Because Jerry Courtney in the play goes through the works. You know, things happen to him and that are pretty tragic. So you need that pathos and that drama. But also because he's dealing with 2 agents, like Fireball and Felix, he has to blend in with their humour and understand their humour and so on. So we're just delighted to have Martin in the part.
And I always forget, Marty, as well, that you did spend so much time in America, because we always see you in shows here in Belfast, but you spent quite a few years over there.
Yeah, I had 20 years over there. I left in '89 and came back, thanks to this man, at the end of 2008 to do Martin's wonderful piece, The Chronicles of Long Cash.
Yes.
Which is where I met my wife.
Of course,
Jo Donnelly Maguire.
I'm responsible for him.
He's responsible for every grey hair I have. So,
And you haven't stopped since?
It's been very fortunate that things have been very good, and having a couple of different strings to your bow, like being able to sing a wee song here and there, or as thank you, Martin, a wee funny bone. But you have to learn how to switch it off in this, because how I'm going to keep my face straight.
Exactly.
I don't know. So being able to do the dramatic stuff as well is going to come in handy.
Yeah. You're out on the road. I know the Opera House is going to be so difficult to get a ticket for, isn't it?
Yes, there's over 930 tickets sold for every single show. 8 shows that week. I think all there's left is the Gods and single seats about the place. Theatre de Mille's the nearest one, and it's, as far as I know, heading towards sellout. But all the other shows around Northern Ireland have some tickets.
Okay.
Doing very well everywhere. Can I read out?
Yes,
Alan?
give us the dates, yes.
The tour starts on the 31st of January, and it's Theatre de Mille at Newtownabbey. Then we go down to Ardone and Enniskillen for the 1st of February. Then Uri Town Hall, the 2nd of February. Down Arts Centre and Down Patrick, the 3rd of February. Burnhaven and Cookstown, the 4th of February. Then the week at the Grand Opera House. And then after that, we have 2 nights in the Marketplace in Yer Ma, and we have 1 night in the Millennium Forum in Derry. I know there's some tickets left for it. So
brilliant.
If you don't get Belfast, you can rave up the Glenshane Pass.
Definitely. And you're planning a tour around the pubs and restaurants as well, aren't you there?
Well, Ivan Little, apparently, when the lads were doing it, said he knows every nook and cranny. They were saying, oh, I'd love the best meat pie after 5. If you go after 5, it's not so great, but if you go, there's a wee breakfast you get. It's because of all his extensive work throughout the trouble with his fabulous careers of journalism. They said he knew everywhere. I'm sure I'll be getting treated to the best places to be, because they've done all the groundwork for me.
Oh, brilliant. And is Ivan coming to see the show?
I certainly hope so. I think he will be. I can't wait to see him. He's an absolute gentleman, and it's an absolute honour to to step into, well, with extra pad, step into his shoes, because when I saw him do it, I'd only known Ivan as a reporter.
Yes,
so when I saw him, I went, that's the reporter, and he just blew me away because he was brilliant. Yeah. And obviously the three of them were, and as I say, to get the chance 10 years since it's been done to come back, Robin, it's a bit of it's a pinch me moment for me. So
that's how we got Ivan. I saw him at the Ulster Drama Amateur Festival at the Grand Opera House, playing in Arthur Miller play, I think. He played Eddie Corbunny, the American Dockers, and he was brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. And then shortly after that, History Troubles came up, and I said, he's the man for Jerry Courtney.
Brilliant. So anything else in the pipeline for you coming up that we should know about?
Well, yes, Green Shoot, our company, we are producing The Man Who Swallowed a Dictionary about the extraordinary life of David Irving. There's a lot of stuff went on behind the scenes in David Irving's life, both personal and political, a lot of people don't know about.
I only got to know David in his later life. I found him a very interesting man.
Yes, well, he went right through from coming from a Labour family, Labour voting family in East Belfast, till being in the UVF, being in prison and all the rest of it. And right up till people say he's the main person who delivered working class loyalists to the Good Friday Agreement. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard commentators saying that. So his life's quite extraordinary, and that goes on to Lyric Theatre in May, plus a tour as well. Brilliant. And then later on in the year, we're doing a community play in Taggers Bay, written by Gary Mitchell, so with locals acting in it with professional actors as well. So, and I think it's going to be a great project. We're hoping to do it in Taggers Bay and in the neighbouring New Lodge.
Brilliant.
And then in the Mac.
Excellent.
So,
great stuff with Martin and Martin. Great to see you as always, and the best of luck with the run. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Rob.
Thank you. Right, time to meet my final guest on the show this week. We're talking about singer-songwriter Beth Nielsen Chapman. Before we talk to the lady herself, here's a new song from her latest album, Crazy Town.
To live. Still, there's a lot of love to give. I stand in the middle, I can't know the end, and life likes to make me start over again. And just when you think you got no chance, that's when your feet will start to dance. When the world makes me cry, there's a calm in the eye of the storm, keeps me from running scared. It's beautiful, it's magical, whatever comes, whatever goes with time. Sometimes I dream I am in my mother's arms. To live. of love to give. Time is a river, it goes by so fast. You can't catch the future or get back the past.
Just brilliant. That's called With Time, one of the brand new songs from Beth Nielsen Chapman's new album Crazy Town, and I'm pleased to say she joins us on the line. Beth, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. So we started with the song With Time from the album Crazy Town, which has gone crazy. It's been getting some great reviews, hasn't it?
Well, I have to say it makes me very happy. It has been getting great reviews, and you know, it was a bit of a departure for me because I worked with Ray Kennedy, who's a wild man, in the studio, and we just kind of flew into putting everything down with the band live, and I was so pleased with how it came out, and the vocals came out really strong, so I just left them, you know, maybe fixed a few little spots, but so it has a very immediacy about it, a very immediate feel about it, and I think because a lot of the material is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you played With Time, which is more the classic Beth Nielsen Chapman vibe, which I love. I mean, that song is so dear to me. But a lot of the other ones are like 2-minute Beatles song kind of length, you know, and they still kind of explore various aspects of life and the crazy world that we're in. What's really fascinating, though, is that we really finished tracking all the songs and we were plowing ahead. And then we found out we were going to have a pandemic. So if you listen to the record, you would swear I wrote it after going through the pandemic. But nope. I managed to look in my crystal ball of songs and write them ahead of time.
So it's always good to see you when you come back to Northern Ireland. And I suppose this little country of ours is a special place for you now, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's amazing. I was telling somebody the other day that I found out just like a couple of years ago that my great-great-grandmother is actually on my mother's side. I was saying it was on my father's side. It's on my mother's side. My great-great-grandmother came from Rossglass Beach, that area near County Down, well, in County Down. Yeah. But when I would go to play Belfast, that was the first place I really played and came to in Northern Ireland. And I just remember thinking, gosh, I really feel like I feel connected to this part of the world. I wonder why, because I didn't know that I had a great-great-grandmother from there, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, I've loved playing all around Northern Ireland. I'm really excited to go to Derry for the first time. I've never been there. I mean, to perform. So
yes, yeah.
It'll be fun.
And you're playing a church in Derry as part of the Luminare Festival, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm really excited about that, yeah.
So the Luminare Festival is Saturday the 4th of February, and then on Sunday the 5th of February you're coming to Theatre at the Mill in Newtownabbey. Now, you've been very busy recently. I know you've been driving all over America, haven't you?
I have, and you know, I went through this big loss in December. My husband, Bob, passed away after a long illness. He had leukemia, and you know, we had these conversations in the last few weeks, and I said, I guess I should just cancel everything, and he was like, nope, you got to go do what you do, and you know, and he said, I'll be with you in a different way, but I will be with you. And so it's been really powerful and surreal kind of to keep going. And I've had so much support, and the audiences that I've been in front of have been incredible. And I also I start my show by saying, I might fall apart, but if I don't, that'll be great. If I do, that's why. So, but so far I haven't. So far it's been very supported, and it feels like the right thing to do. And I'm really excited about coming back to Northern Ireland because the audiences there have they're very well behaved. I'll put it to you that way.
Have you had many wild and crazy audiences then?
Well, I mean, when I say crazy wild is great, as long as they're listening and crazy and wild. But no, they're very attentive, and they also really understand the power of poetry and song because that's so much in the culture. You know, like they really appreciate writing, and there's some of the greatest writers and artists in the world come from there. So, so it's like stepping into a world where they really appreciate and get what I'm trying to do anyway.
So over the years, your songs have been covered by many, many great artists. Do you have a favorite?
There's so many that have been my favorites, but I would have to say one of the most extraordinary for me was when Willie Nelson recorded a song called There's Nothing I Can Do About It Now, and I wrote it by myself, and it went all the way to #1. Wow. And I got to play with him a few times, and I got to play on the record, and I got to hang out with him. And he actually recorded 5 of my songs on that album, or in the course of a couple of albums right around that time in the early 90s. And I just couldn't believe it, because I had all of his records, and he's one of the great songwriters. I mean, he's a great songwriter. He writes for other artists kind of songwriter, classic. And it just so happened at the time he wasn't writing because a lot of things were changing in his life. I think his son Lucas was just born, who's now a star himself.
Yeah.
And I just had this little moment in time where I could slide in there and get a few covers. So I'm pretty happy about that. And one of the great compliments I ever heard was when Willie Nelson said people thought he wrote that song.
So is it true that Waylon Jennings heard Willie's song and then phoned you up and said, write me a song just like that?
I believe the story is that Willie was blasting the new mixes of his new record off the back of his golf cart in a boombox, and Waylon was along for the ride, and he kept saying, oh, well, that's a real good song. Willie kept saying, well, Beth Nielsen Chapman wrote that one too. And he goes, give me your number. And Waylon and I got to be great friends. We wrote together a lot, and I got to go and hang out with him and his wonderful, beautiful wife, who is also a star, Jessie Coulter.
Yes.
And we'd all hang out, and it was just beautiful, to get to meet my heroes and to work with them. I still can't believe it. Like when they do the TV movie of my life, I'll be like, did that really happen?
Somebody else who was very close to you that we sadly lost last year was the fabulous Olivia Newton John, and she was a very special friend of yours.
Just an amazing human, really. I had so much love and respect for her, and then I got to meet her, and then I got to work with her, and she recorded a few of my songs, and then we wrote together, and then, just her whole path of her life has been just extraordinary, and it keeps going. The things that she put into place are growing and going, and her impact on the world is something to behold, And I was so grateful. Amy Skye and I worked with Olivia to do the record that's called Live On. It's all songs about coming through grief, and she really wanted to do a project like that, something that had light in it and humor and also a lot of depth. And so we made this record. But anyway, the last couple of days before she passed, I was in a Dallas airport, and I got a text from her family saying, this is a good time to call if you want to say hello. And so Amy and I were both on the phone singing to her. That was really special. And, her voice is going to keep going, though. It's just an amazing, powerful impact that she's made.
And of course, she inspired so many people across the world and helped so many women who were going through their own cancer battles. And I know you've had your cancer battles over the years as well, haven't you?
Yes, and that's really how I got to be really close friends with Olivia, because when I was diagnosed with breast cancer back in the year 2000, which was a shock to me, she was right on the phone to me, calling me, helping me get organized and pointing me, like I do this a lot for other women. Like if a friend of mine calls me and says, so-and-so just got diagnosed, can you call her? I'll call that person and I'll just say, okay, you're going to want to go all over the place and see all the doctors and just get into your center and think about the best, least stressful way to do this. And that was a huge help to me. And yeah, she was a great friend. She was constantly checking on me, and she was great. I miss her every day.
So tell me about a song like This Kiss. It's a song that you'll never be able to get away from, but when you were writing that, did you realize how big it was going to become?
When we were writing that song, we were convinced that it was going to be the biggest thing ever. And so I wrote that with Annie Roboff and Robin Lerner, and then we ran all around. We thought it was a pop song, which actually, legalistically, it is a pop song, just because the structure and the chords, it's not exactly a 3-chord country song, but it has... we had this demo that was based around a keyboard, very different than the record that you ended up hearing. So, yeah, it was amazing. And Brian Gallimore, who produced the record, brought it to a whole other level. And then I got to go in and sing the background vocals on it, which was really fun. Right. So whenever I'd hear it on the radio, I could hear myself in there singing with it. And I've had a lot of songwriters say, or people say, why did you give that song away?
Yeah.
Do you regret giving that song to Faith Hill? And I'm always perplexed by that question, because I think I didn't give it away. I just allowed it to go make a small fortune so I could send my son through college. If I had hung on to it, I might have had a nice little hit. But Faith Hill brought it to the stratospheric level of hit. So I still sing it at almost every show I do, and I still love it, and I still own it. But she can have it too.
Now, you've got this great back catalogue that features hundreds, maybe thousands of songs that you've written over the years. But do you remember the first song that you ever wrote?
Yes, I do, and it was not very good. Want to hear it?
Yeah.
It goes, all right, I played this for my mom while she was taking a nap, and she did not wake up. So that's a good indication that I had a little ways to go.
Okay.
Also, it only has one rhyme, and it only has one melody. It goes, in the month of May, cowboys used to say, let us lead the way. During the month of May, guess what? Cowboys used to say, let us lead the way.
That is brilliant, and thank you so much for doing that.
Hey, I was 10, so it was pretty good. Maybe 11. Maybe just 11, yeah.
Beth, sadly we're out of time. We're going to play one more of the songs from the album Crazy Town. I'm going to go for Walk You to Heaven, which was written, of course, alongside our good friend Kimmy Rhodes, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, Kimmy and Mindy Smith as well. Yeah, we loved writing that song. We were trying to channel John Prine. You'll hear us trying to rip him off left and right in that song. And it's one of my favorites. It's the one I end every show with now.
So Beth, enjoy your time in Northern Ireland. You're back on the 4th and the 5th of February. Thank you for joining us.
I'm looking forward to seeing everybody up there, and I'm coming with bells on. Bye. Thank you.
On the road that'll walk you to heaven, you can leave every burden behind, where the dust and the dirt and the memories settle all of our troubles with time. Farewell, I will see you again, I know. It's not like we're saying goodbye. We will all meet again where the stars go when they tumble like jewels from the sky. On the road that'll walk you to heaven, there are mountains and valleys to cross. Take comfort and hope, 'cause the angels will find you whenever you're lost. Farewell, I will see you again, I know. It's not like we're saying goodbye. We will all meet again where the stars go when they tumble like jewels from the sky. A whisper adrift like a song through the trees. I hear you calling to me. Farewell, I will see you again, I know. It's not like we're saying goodbye. We will all meet again where the stars go when they tumble like jewels from the sky. We will all meet again where the stars go when they tumble like jewels from the sky.
So there we go, another great song from Beth Nelson Chapman. Don't forget to check out her gig at Theatre at the Mill. That's all we have time for on the show this week. Thank you to all my guests, and we'll see you back here same time next week. Bye-bye.